once it is, I will say the thing that I say. There we go. Live channel. So, hello everybody, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. We're gonna play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I can't wait, yo.
I am Christiana Ellis. I am the Dungeon Master, and tonight our players, for the first time, all 6 of the new party, starting with Jenny Meltzer as, tell me how you're pronouncing that name.
Zaleen.
Zaleen, as Zaleen, our newest party member. Then we also have Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn.
Good evening.
Starla Hodgson as Carolina Swift.
Hello, friends.
Vivid Muse as Trina of Harlee.
Hey, y'all.
Chus Schubert as Sequential.
Hello, hello.
And last but not least, Mark Kilfoyle as Nedry Shiny Rock.
New people always mean more questions.
So, let's talk a little bit about what happened last time. You did a dungeon. You fought a monster.
We fought 2 monsters.
Oh,
We dungeoned, y'all.
Yeah.
Stormed to the tower.
We went through the tower and
Fell down many holes.
we fought the big bad and we thought it was over, and oh my goodness, there was a second big bad that was even bigger and badder.
And then we
Yeah,
saved
the
the
splinter-
princess.
And then we
Splinter
saved the
Bonnet's
princess.
bane was pretty scary. But whatever they were accidentally summoning was even scarier. And what turned out to not be scary was Sombra. Or Professor Velrai, or whatever they happened to be.
everyone
Yeah.
just stop talking.
And at the very end, Isolde was very seriously wounded and appeared to have herself pulled into a card that was part of a deck of cards. And I think, if I remember correctly, she also pulled the dwarf that was doing the summoning spell into one of those cards.
That's correct. So there
And
was
so
some.
I would really like to find those cards.
Yes, well, as I will recap the very final image that we finished last time with, which is to say that after watching this final sort of memory vision, showing you that this ritual had been interrupted by Isilda, and although she could not at first stop it from occurring, with help from Sombra, the shadow spirit of the house, this mysterious deep jade circlet was pulled off of the dwarven arcanist's head, interrupting the ritual, blowing it up, releasing some kind of a monster, which you then had to fight. But then, yes, the arcanist and then Isilda herself sucked into some sort of playing cards, and then at the end, everything falling through holes in the floor, 2 floors down, all the way to be buried under a pile of debris. As you raced down to that level, you dug up all of the fallen debris, and you found several things. You found the deep jade circlet. You found the deck of cards. You found the strange bag that Isilda had been carrying that sucked in the face changer. And you found a new friend? Question mark. And this dark elf with well, first of all, let's have Zaleen describe her appearance.
Well, she's amazingly beautiful, obviously. She has like a lavender purple sort of skin, stark white hair, bright white blue eyes, but she also has these strange shadowy patches on her body and one that goes like straight across her eyes.
And so you found her unconscious, But then when you returned to her this strange crystal key talisman, she woke up. Also, now you don't appear to be in a pocket dimension anymore because the strange mist that was visible outside the windows is gone and you hear street sounds once more.
All right, it's time for me to go downstairs.
All right. So, not in-game, but, like, meta. Yeah. So, that will drop everybody. It will mess everybody
puzzle
up
piece.
briefly. We'll move everyone back to where they belong shortly when he rejoins. It's all fine. We're all fine here. How are you? So, that's where we left things off. So, as mentioned, you have a Zaleen. You have a deck of cards. You have a mysterious bag that maybe eats people, ? And you have a deep jade circlet, which seemed very powerful if, you know, depending on how you want to assign any kind of a moral weight to whatever was happening there. It's a little unclear, maybe. But certainly it does a something.
Well, I had kind of kicked the circlet away over to the side. Because Zaleen was holding onto it, and there was concern that maybe that was what was causing the unconsciousness. It was not, but let's see.
Yeah. Trina just wants to check and see how Sequential's doing because there was a lot of damage, and so kind of wanting to address that.
Uh-oh.
Chooch doesn't know that because
Was
he
there?
doesn't.
My sheet says I'm at full health.
Oh, well, yes, I think there was, like, Jenny was able to access your sheet, but not able to adjust your health. Do you have a record of how many hit points he had at the end?
15.
15.
Yeah, 15.
Oh, ow!
Yeah, I got you poked a lot with some sticks and strangled a little bit, you know.
All
Sorry.
good. All in good fun, though.
Yeah, at least you didn't die.
Yeah.
Apologies, everyone. Here, let's briefly switch over to the map screen, which at the very least has everyone more or less in their right like frame, so they can talk. It doesn't have the map showing at the moment, but
That's Homebrew Creations.
yes, I know.
Okay,
Because-
no, I just wanted to make sure. I thought you were going to put up a map. That's all.
No,
Just...
I'm not putting up a map. I'm only doing
Okay.
this so we don't have people with half their face on the screen and all of that sort of thing.
My bad.
That's all right. It's okay. But that is exactly what I was trying to explain when you interrupted me by telling me that it was showing a different on the screen.
I know you have lots of secrets, and I don't want you to inadvertently reveal secrets before
Oh,
you
okay.
want to
Well,
reveal
in
them.
that case, all is forgiven, as though there was anything to forgive. It's fine. In fact, here I'll go ahead and put and bring up the map anyway, even though, technically speaking, you guys did all of it already.
But look, there we stand.
Yeah.
Wait, there are two of us.
Technically, there's
Wait,
two
there
of
are
us.
two of me.
Yeah.
Well, that's how she was moving us across the floors, up and down the
Right.
floors.
So, we
So-
might as well just leave you here on the map, this screen for now until we have Paul rejoin us.
So I feel like Zalian has the fire hose at this point. But what's actually worse about it is probably a fire hose in stereo. Because not only is he rapidly asking all kinds of questions verbally, but she's also hearing them all in her head at the exact same time. Not necessarily the same questions either, as two of his voices seem to come to her.
Why are there so many small people talking all at once? I don't understand. Very
He
strange.
paused long enough to see if that was an answer to one of his questions and continued. I can lay out probably most of the questions if you'd like, but you can probably imagine what most of them are.
I am going to Carolina will run interference here and sort of like do the whole like to Nedry, just she's been through a lot, so maybe if we could just hold off for just a minute and I don't make sure everybody's okay first and I don't figure out I guess we're back in the regular where we're supposed to be, but we don't know like how time was passing or anything like that. So there's some stuff that we need to figure out, and then we can ask our new friend a few questions.
But we don't know how long it's going to last. She might also be drawn into the other shadow dimension, or may not actually be here. Maybe actually another one of the MIRs. It could be because Isolde seemed to be...
Nedry. Just turn it down just a little bit. There's a lot that we all want to know. But I think pummeling her with questions is just going to make this, like, it's really stressful. So, like, it's kind of stressing me out, too. So let's just take a breath, calm down, and we'll figure it out.
Kind of twitching where he's standing, like he's trying to pace and not pace at the same time.
You can pace if that helps you.
Starts walking around the room, kind of looking at her back up there. Rips out the book and starts writing notes into one side of it.
I'm going to expend a charge of my skin and transform myself into an utterly featureless silhouette of darkness.
Wow! Does that mean you are
Hold
Sombra?
action.
Or a Sombra part of you? Or maybe you never were Professor Velrai to begin with. Maybe you are something else. Wow.
And he starts writing down in his book.
So do you do anything other than just turn yourself into a completely featureless silhouette?
No, I just stand there in my darkness and stare at him.
So I'm gonna kind of walk up and just like, is this like, can I like just touch like a shoulder with finger just to see if she's solid?
I mean, yeah.
Well, I'm more like hesitant because I don't know if she wants to be touched.
Well, I mean, that is a reasonable concern, but I mean, if you go and try to poke her, that's kind of, I'm not going to tell you can't.
Trina's going to just suggest that we give her the space that she seems to need right now. And maybe we talk about what we should be doing now. How's that sound?
Oh, can we leave? I don't like this place.
So
We should be able to leave.
Despite her totally colorless appearance at the moment, she does have like three-dimensional, like, she occupies volume in the room. But you do just the complete darkness of all texture. You get the impression that she would be hard to spot in a dark place for sure.
So is Sombra a nickname, or is that another person?
It is Sombra.
Sorry, was that what is Sombra?
It is Sombra.
Huh.
What?
I think you might have been. Or an aspect of you might have been. Or maybe you absorbed Sombra. Have you always been able to do this?
Do what?
Become a shadow of yourself?
I don't know.
This is going to be difficult.
So we have
I
a lot
love
of
a challenge.
questions.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get out of the murder house and then figure things out? Sequential looks very tired.
We also need to see who needs healing.
Because we're not out of the murder house yet.
Yeah, I think ensuring that we're out of this pocket dimension is job number one.
Okay.
And also nobody knows where we were, where we went. So there are people that might be a little bit concerned when we just kind of disappeared.
Yep.
So heal and leave?
Hold your horses.
I said heal, then leave was my question.
I'm sorry. What I heard was healing, please. And I have two. Since we leveled up, I have 2 spell slots that I didn't have before we beat the monster. Mass healing word. Does that do what I think it does?
I mean, it's essentially healing word on more than one person at a time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Who else needs healing?
I think pretty much everyone.
I think we've all taken some damage. I think that was.
I haven't.
I think.
Go and stab him, somebody.
There's.
I mean,
you should have
that.
prayer.
It wasn't fun.
Do you have prayer of healing?
I
That
do.
That would be probably the max, unless you dropped like beacon of health first. Then you're going to get your max healing from prayer of healing. I think.
I
right?
believe you are correct. It says 6 creatures of your choice.
Hey. Choose us.
Shailene, are you hurt at all?
No.
Okay.
That girl healed me.
Then I will do prayer of healing.
So that's a spell that takes 10 minutes to do, but
Okay.
I mean, no one's rushing you. So if you just begin that, and everyone's kind of just hanging out and catching their breath, and so by the time 10 minutes elapses, though, Zaleen would have returned to her normal. Well, the appearance she had before she turned into a featureless black silhouette.
So
Okay.
Paul,
Andrew
that's
has not stopped watching her.
That's 14.
14. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So are the
Much better.
the deck of cards and the bag and the jade circlet all just sitting on the floor, or what?
We can wrap them so that if they're cursed, they don't affect anybody, and I can, put them in the hole. Unless somebody wants to examine them first.
Is your mouth big enough for the circlet? Like, I'll carry the bag.
Yeah,
It's as wide. It's as wide. It opens as wide as my mouth does, and I never looked up to see what a loxodon's mouth opens up to.
I don't think you could swallow a whole circlet. I mean, it's designed to fit around a dwarf, or a medium creature's head.
Basically, can you swallow a dwarf's head?
Yeah.
Well, but how big was the bag?
The
Was there a bag?
The bag is it's sort of like a satchel is the sort of
then you
size
can
of the
carry it.
bag.
But so the thing is that it's kind of like putting a bag of holding in a bag of holding, and I don't know that that's a good idea.
Well, if
Yeah,
it's a
never-
satchel, we'll
no.
just carry it. I didn't realize
Yeah.
what kind of bag it was.
Yeah, the bag has it has a shoulder strap and everything.
Gotcha.
That might also go for the deck of cards, too. I have a feeling, another theory, that it works somewhat similar to the mirror. And if that's the case, then it sort of is a pocket plane of its own. And that might interfere with the extra dimensional mechanics. Although I
I'll
haven't
just
had a
put
chance.
the circlet in my backpack. Make it easy. I don't feel threatened.
I'll sling the bag over my shoulder.
Okay.
I am not
Well, we-
opening it at all.
When we get a chance, I'd love to study them all. I'll be able to tell us more about what's going on here,
Yeah.
I think.
We got so many things to look at the lab.
Very minor retcon. I've decided that the version, like the equivalent of tarot, in our world here is called Vidunme. But there are details of it that make it slightly different than tarot in our world, but it's more or less the same kind of thing. It's a special deck of cards. It's not for playing games. It's for telling fortunes. And that is the type of deck it appears to be. Although in your experience with Vidunme, usually they don't generate whirlwinds that suck people inside.
It would make fortune telling a lot more interesting.
Yeah, and ours is special.
Still,
If you have customers that you're doing a fortune for who don't like their fortune, You just put them inside the card and let them think about it for a while.
Yeah. So Sequential has the circlet in the backpack. In their backpack, Carolina is carrying the bag.
Mm-hmm.
I think the dagger from a long time ago was one of the things we did put in the mouth satchel.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So trying to swallow the dagger you found. Yeah.
So, Zaylene, we have a place that we've been staying. Oh, names. I suppose that would be nice. My name is Carolina, and
Sorry, just a brief interruption. What I'm going to suggest is it's probably a good, reasonable time for an update, just a re-describing your own character's physical appearance.
well, I was also going to hand her a business card.
Please, I just was going to suggest that everybody do that, just because people haven't heard it in a while.
You do parties and bar mitzvahs.
I think they're
Do,
Rasham mitzvahs or something.
Shaman
Shaman.
stuff. Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's pretty good.
So, my name is Carolina Swift. I am a bard by trade, but now we're doing this. We help people. That's kind of our job. So what you see is just about 5'6", so pretty average height, human, kind of auburn hair, dark brown eyes, very pale skin. Nothing like pretty, but not like nothing about her like really stands out. She's just regular old human bard. So that is what you see. And she's very nice and smiles a lot.
I'd like to make an insight check.
Finally.
I mean, sure.
Okay. It's like I forgot how to play D&D.
Oh.
Do I roll anything?
Well,
Like-
I mean, I guess the question would be, are you
Right,
trying,
like perception or not persuasion
if
or
you were
deception, right?
If you're trying to be deceptive, you can roll deception. If you're trying to be persuasive, you can roll persuasion.
I believe everything you say all the time.
Yeah, that's a 24, so.
You could tell me that the moon was made out of crackers, and I would be like, I know.
You made one of
I
the
know.
classic blunders. Never go up against the bard when deception's on the line. I just realized I didn't update your token, Carolina. Let me put the updated token on your screen.
It's bigger. I don't know if that's.
Well, I found a photo that kind of inspired this. It was more it was a little closer to what I had in mind. So yeah, I just tweaked it a little bit. It's pretty much the same. But.
All right. So that's Carolina. Everyone else is gathered around, staring at you. Zealand.
Yeah, say hello. I'm Sequential. Sequential is a warforged, and for some people, it's more kind of like a robot. A body composed of root-like cords for muscles that are surrounded by this framework of steel with armored plates and reinforced joints. The skull has a couple different colored metals and these amethyst lenses for eyes. And I am a tinkerer, I guess technically, an artificer, and experiment with and create various devices to help our group here. Very pleased to meet you.
And as a world building note, you wouldn't be familiar with Warforged. It's not a common.
I'm gonna reach out and just sort of like poke, because I'm not like it's different and strange. So
Yes. solid steel or cold steel.
Tink, tink, tink.
He probably has a spirit. I haven't quite determined it yet.
I think we all have a spirit.
I mean, that might also be true.
Next.
Next.
Yeah, don't all introduce yourselves at once.
She just looks at Nedry like expectantly.
And he's kind of looking back at her, kind of trying to figure out.
Oh, my name is Nedry Shinyrock. I study things. Unusual things.
And kind of looking for reaction and kind of
Gauging around. I also cast spells. I'm a student of Master Argus Finster, the Master Abjurer. You may have heard of him. What is your specialty, anyway? I was never able to determine that from the logs. It didn't seem like you had a particular, teaching specialty, but it looked as though you were somewhat opposed to what was happening here, so I assumed that you had some sort of, understanding of exactly what the arcana was going on.
while you think about that physically, he's a young gnome, just about 2.5 feet tall, with sort of aquamarine skin. He wears fairly large glasses that look like they're made from sort of crystalline lenses. He has sort of spiky, very oddly shaped hair. It just sort of goes its own way. That is slightly purplish black. He wears simple, plain brown robes. They actually look almost like beggar's robes, but they're a little bit better cleaned. And he carries 2 large books, one on each hip, one of which he's writing in now with a crystal pen that has a brilliant, large, red-purple feather on the back of it. That occasionally he just writes in mid-air, and it traces behind what he's writing.
She doesn't ever answer your question. She just looks over next to Zinhorn.
I am Zinhorn Windborn. I am a cleric of Rushama. Before I joined these fine folks to help other people, I helped lots of other people. That's kind of what I do. Is I help people.
Helping people is good.
I think so too. He is a dragonborn. He is 6 foot tall. He's got kind of a bronze dragon type leathery skin and big, sharp, nasty teeth. And you can tell that he's practiced a lot to make himself look less aggressive and be more friendly. So he smiles a lot.
I love
with
it.
big teeth.
Also, big wings, which is
And big
not
wings.
typical.
Yes. There are not a lot of Dragonborn in the city, and even fewer of those that you may see have wings.
And I just turn and look at Trina.
Look up.
Gives a little wave with her little 4 fingers and says, "Hi, I'm Trina. I'm from Harley, which is the closest that I can come in the common tongue for all of this. This is not our language in Harley. People here call it a pocket dimension because it's only available to go back and forth occasionally. So I'm really interested in where we just found you. Kind of interesting to me. But so looking at her, she's about 7'4". She's got, from the neck up, she looks like an elephant. She's got piercings on her ears and on her trunk. She's very athletically built, very strong. She's carrying weaponry, and she's explains that, where she's from, people are really smart, and I'm not really smart, but I'm really strong. And I found people that would help me kind of hone that to make myself be useful for my herd. And so I traveled here and kind of made these folks my herd. So if I come off a little extra protective of you while we're together, just know that that's just me trying to be helpful. It's not that I don't think you can do stuff.
You're very tall.
I know. You guys are really small. Nobody's small like this where I'm from, except for the kids. It's very confusing. But it's really fun. These are really good people. So anytime you're ready to go, you feel safe, I can help you. You know, I can carry you or whatever. I carry a couple of these guys if you're not feeling strong. But we're not going to make you do anything you don't want to do. And while you're with me, I hope you'll feel a little safer because I want to protect you. And she's still on the ground next to where she sat down previously when you were, you know, feeling overwhelmed. Trying to be small and unintimidating.
You're leaving?
Well, we have a place to go back to, a very, very safe place. And we haven't been here for long, but it certainly seems a lot safer than here. And I would love to get you out of here and get you somewhere safer or where you want to be. If that's not with us, if you have somewhere else to be, people waiting for you.
Between Isolde and UUE3, this place was pretty much trashed. The result of the failure of the ritual, I think. Or maybe the success of the ritual, depending on how you look at it. Otherwise, there's not much here other than splinters, which may or may not remanifest. Of course, we're not exactly in the same pocket dimension anymore, or at least the overlay dimension. Not exactly a pocket dimension, because it's not separate. It's more like an ethereal thing, really. Or maybe it was the ethereal plane.
So,
Just in a limited form. With
Christiana?
boundaries.
Yes?
I'm going to find a piece of debris on the floor and kick it across the room.
Okay. You do that. That happens.
I'm waiting to see if it moves back to where it had been previously.
You watch it, and it doesn't.
I walk over and pick it up and put it back where it was.
Well, that does satisfy one of the theories.
Interesting.
I knew it!
So, here's a question. Do you want to stay here in the murder house, or do you want to come with us, or is there somewhere else you would like to go?
I don't know if it's appropriate to use the term murder house. I mean, yes, a lot of people died here, and some terrible tragedies did too, but it was once an academy. Could actually be reclaimed, so to speak.
I'm here. I am here. I'm here, and I don't know if I can leave. Mistress, can I go? Can I go now?
You don't get any response.
Oops, be easy. I mean, I can try. I've been here for a very long time.
One quick meta note, Jenny. I just like depending on where your face is pointed, the sound sometimes is a little muffled. I'm not sure if the microphone is.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know if I can leave.
Well, we can certainly try. If you do feel any distress, we'll stop immediately, of course, and note any symptoms.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mistress, I'm gonna go. I hope you come with me.
Who are you talking to?
Are we going?
Mistress of the Dark?
Are we going?
Let's go.
If you're ready.
No.
Let's go.
Front doors aren't too far away.
Can I help you? Would you like me to carry you, or do you feel strong enough? You seem to have been through a lot.
I think I can. I think I'm okay. But maybe when we go, maybe with the door, maybe you could hold my hand.
I will be with you every step.
Um,
And if you do stumble, I promise you won't touch the ground.
can somebody carry the mirror?
Oh yeah, what are we gonna do with that?
Yeah,
It's probably
I
not
can
the kind of
carry
thing
it.
we should just leave laying around.
Oh no, the
Yes.
mirror must come back. But
Especially if-
sequential is strong too.
Zinhorn is very strong too.
Oh yeah, actually, I think some more strong. Now that I think about it, Squirrel's not particularly strong.
Well, the
Tough,
mirror is
not
also
strong.
There we
not
go.
terribly heavy. It's just kind of awkwardly shaped and presumably fragile.
Trina doesn't even blink because Zaylene is more of a fragile than a mirror.
Well, and I
So-
also, if I recall correctly, the mirror currently has a shirt over it.
Yes.
It's true.
I think it's actually Zinhorn's shirt too. So.
No, that would be my shirt.
Oh, your shirt.
Yeah.
Hubba, hubba.
Carolina pulled a great big shirt out of her backpack.
Yeah, it might be better for Zenhorn to carry it.
Okay.
Just be careful because I don't know if it got damaged. If some of the magic might. Well, backlash is a possibility with some experimental and dangerous magical items. It will be much safer when we're able to take it back and put it in a safe place to examine it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe carry it pointing away from you, towards the ground, if
Um,
possible.
Or toward
Yeah.
the sky.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
There are things that fly overhead, and I'd hate for any of them to accidentally look into it. Now, that shouldn't matter, because without the special keyword, it shouldn't do anything, but I wouldn't want to accidentally try something, an
But
experiment
it is
quite yet.
it is covered, so I don't
All right.
expect anything bad to happen. Ha ha ha.
Just to clarify, did someone specifically pick up the cards? If not, then
I mean, no one said
Yeah, I don't think
anything
we did.
about the cards.
okay.
I thought
Then-
Zinhorn
then
did.
I mean, you guys tell me.
If no one specifically did, Nedrick would definitely pick them up.
Okay.
Okay. I have a blanket. I'm gonna throw the blanket over the shirt over the mirror.
All right.
So Trina's gonna ask Nedry. So is that a regular deck with the full? Like, do we have all the cards? Did we make sure we gathered them all?
Well, I didn't go looking around for them. I'm a little hesitant to actually open up the deck just in case the
Oh.
magic gets set off.
The
Right.
deck does seem to have like a slipcase, so the cards are not just all loose. So when she brandished them, she seemed to do something with her fingers and made a card like slide up out of it, but they all slide back into the slipcase, and so they're like
I
it's
could
open
take a
on
few
one
minutes to-
side, but all contained.
Okay.
I could take a few minutes to understand it now, but I feel like we want to return quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we should
Safety.
get moving now.
All right. So who's got the circlet? Who took that?
Sequential's got the circlet.
Okay. And I've got the bag. Nedry's got the cards. Zinhorn's got the mirror, and Trina's got
The dagger.
Saline. Okay.
I think sequential.
Saline, the
well,
dagger.
Dagger,
Yeah.
crystalline key, a few other things.
No, I have the crystalline key.
Yeah, the crystalline. Yeah, that was how. Yeah.
Did you put it back around your neck?
Yes.
Okay. I think we got everything.
When we get a chance, we should come back and make sure this place is locked up tight. I'd hate for anybody to wander through and accidentally either set off what was here or mess with whatever evidence remains.
I agree. Let's go talk to Yobert and see if he can send some people out.
We're going to see a bear.
So as we walk, Carolina will then start explaining everything about like how we all met and who we work for and what we're doing and the point of it all, and talking about the castle and Sunya and the spirit of the castle, and just like telling her all of this stuff, not asking her anything, just explaining it. If she does have questions, she would answer. But yeah,
So,
so
I,
just
I think
as we're going.
Jenny, as a player, doesn't necessarily know all of that stuff. So, like, we can't necessarily just hand wave, but we can also kind of cover it as it comes up, as opposed to just all in advance.
Yeah. I was just thinking, in character, Carolina would be explaining all of this to her before we
Okay.
got to the destination, so that she would know. But
Okay.
if Jenny, the player, does have questions,
Yeah.
happy to ask.
All right, so
Answer.
yeah, rather than just repeat it all right now, I would basically say we'll assume that Carolina explains the basics, and then we'll kind of, you ask me what you feel like you need to know or would want to know, and so on.
When she
Yeah,
was
and-
talking about Sunya, would that be something that I would recognize?
You don't. So I think what she probably tells you is that Sunya is the spirit of the castle where they stay.
Okay.
And so that would register to you, but you wouldn't like know them or anything
Okay.
like that.
I just wanted to know if it sounded familiar.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
In contrast to his normal behavior, Nedry's actually being pretty quiet, but mostly because he's trying to write as he walks along in one of his books pretty rapidly, and kind of every time he's looking up at Zaylin with more questions probably in his face, but also looking for any reactions that she might have, that sort of thing. He doesn't understand most of the reactions, so they're all going down as don't understand. And probably Nedry's also occasionally walking into things because he's not really paying attention where he's going.
Well, and something you mentioned only in chat, but not on the stream, which was that your clothes don't fit quite as well as they did.
Right, yes. Yeah, there'd be occasional sort of walking along and sort of the adjustment to the awkwardly fitting clothes.
Yeah, I think the rest of you did notice that after the ghost fight, he looked a little older, and as we mentioned then, Zinhorn, just from your training as a cleric that that's a supernatural effect that some ghosts can have, and that Father Wilfram could cast the spell that would be necessary to reverse it, but it does actually have to be done within 24 hours.
Okay. So as we're walking back, I'm gonna look to see if there's someone selling food. And
Well, I'm assuming you're not out of the house yet. But
Oh.
we can-
Yes.
Yeah, we have a big test here.
okay.
Yeah. Also, question: Are you just headed out the front door, or were you going to go check out those two other outbuildings?
Somebody mentioned the front door.
I don't know. Whatever
We
you
were
want.
nearby it.
So you head towards the front door.
Yeah.
I mean, the front door is not closed because the doors were smashed off their hinges, and you pulled down the where it was boarded up. So you can go out.
Outside the front door is my sign attached.
Yeah,
Huh.
it is.
That part was real.
And also, what you see out there is that the time you would guess seems to be maybe early afternoon, just after noon or something like that. It looks like there was a partly overcast day, but the sun is starting to come out. And I think as you're all kind of stepping out the front door, Zaylene, you have no difficulty stepping through the threshold, but once you step into the sunlight, it is very bright.
Ugh. I'm holding on to Trina, I'm holding her hand, and I'm just closing my eyes very tight because it's way too bright out here for me.
So
Do you feel
from
like you
within-
might need to be going back inside? Is it hurting you? Do you feel
from
like you're attached to it?
No. I mean, no one stopped me, but it's very bright out here, and it's hurting my eyes a lot, and I can't see.
Here's something that I think probably everyone would know, because dark elves are part of the Pashan society, right? Like they live places, but it's true that generally speaking, they don't enjoy the direct sunlight, and so there's a whole sort of submarket of like parasols and wide-brimmed hats and even like sunglasses and that sort of thing that you would typically expect to see dark elves wearing when they go outside during the day.
So on that note, I would dig inside my bag and actually come up with a pair of dark glasses, which I would hand over to Zaleen. Will this help?
That's handy.
Maybe. And she sort of awkwardly studies them for a little bit, trying to figure out what they do.
You just slide them kind of over, and I would like unfold them and sort of hand them to her in the direction that they would go.
Oh, that's much better. That's much better. Thank you. I don't know how everybody else lives out here like this. It's weird.
Oh. So it's just a drow thing. Huh. Well, that's more evidence that you're actually corporeal. That's good.
This door, I mean, I guess we can try to shore it up somewhat instead of being a total gaping hole. If we can find some boards, got a combination of mending and all of my different tools.
Yeah, I think so. The places where it had been nailed in, you can kind of sort of just put the boards like back in where they were, but they're just a little bit loose now. But you have sufficient tools that if you spend a moment on it, I think you can.
Yeah, not worrying about
restore it to at the very
but
least the appearance of being boarded up. It probably wouldn't be too difficult for someone else to pull it down again, but it looks the part.
I think my sign said under new management, no trespassing. I think that's what it said.
It was something like that, yeah.
Should be able to do something a little bit different tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hopefully.
So
Keep
you're
the
all kind of
wildlife out.
standing on those front steps in the grounds. It has a feeling that is substantively less kind of eerie than when you were out there before.
Try to walk away from the porch.
Heading toward the main gate.
Yep.
And we walk away.
You have no
linger.
difficulty.
Jenny's back.
He stole my line.
You have no
It was
difficulty
more of an homage
walking away.
than a
Yeah.
theft.
You
I was actually going to stand at the door for a minute
oh, well.
and just kind of stare at it. And then I was going to walk away.
So, yeah, none of you experience anything like this strange sort of tension that you felt before, trying to hold you back. And, if you so choose, you can walk all the way out to the gate.
All right.
Yeah, let's get
I
walking.
so choose.
Okay.
Nedra's kind of looking back at the building itself to see if there's any other notable changes from when they were here, when we started here.
No, although I think there was sort of a feeling looking up at it before. Maybe it was just because it was unknown and all of that, and now you've sort of conquered it. But it doesn't seem so scary. It's certainly still run down, but it's not oppressive in the way that it was before.
I see Nedry looking back at the house, and I quietly turn over my shoulder and mutter something and cast Eldritch Blast where he was looking.
Okay, what, you like blowing out a window or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's something there.
He starts walking or running towards the house to try to figure out what it was.
Nedry has turned around and started walking back toward the house, everyone.
Nedry, stop.
But there's still something there.
We'll take care of that another day. You have an appointment with Father Wilfram.
I do?
You
Trina's
do.
giggling. Trina saw it and she's giggling.
So as you're out by the gate, presuming that you're kind of pulling it open and heading back out on the street.
I believe we picked the lock and locked it after we picked the lock.
Oh, that's
to get
right.
in.
Yeah.
So sequential
You'll have to
needs to
repick the
open
lock.
it and then lock it again.
Nedry looks a little disappointed, but heads towards the gate and starts shimmying through the bars. Gets caught up at one point. It's like, oh, I feel a little bit. And then it's the second book that he's carrying that caught him up, not his.
So I think your familiarity, having picked this lock before sequential, you don't need to make a check for it.
Right on.
Certainly, though, that I think as you're kind of making your way out, especially, was it sequential or Zinhorn carrying the mirror?
Zenhorn.
Yeah, so it's like a little bit more obvious, like now, like you're coming out with stuff, and so I think that you do get a couple of looks from people on the street saying, "Those people are coming out from that old abandoned mansion with stuff." And people mind their own business, except that they do notice.
And if I catch their eye, I will say, "We're the new owners."
Maybe slip them a card in case they see something.
Carolina, could you please give them your
Absolutely.
card? If you see anyone messing with our new property, please be sure to let us know.
Okay.
Oh, and especially if you see some really strange things going on, like shadows, that would be really neat to know.
I will just like anybody that's looking at us at all, just I hand them a card.
Okay. Zinhorn, make a persuasion check with advantage, because you got your allies backing you up here.
All right. So the first one is a 19, and the second one is a 17.
That's still pretty good.
So the 19 is what counts.
Okay. Yeah. So the person in particular that you kind of singled out because they were, maybe had a little bit of the raised eyebrow as opposed to the just rubbernecking. This is a half elf who's just kind of, got slightly like orangish cast to the skin, and was just looking at you like, oh, I don't know, are you thieves? Maybe I ought to call someone. But then you explain all of this and present the card, and he is impressed by the card. It's, wow, that's crazy. What did you find in there?
On another day, I'm sure we'll be happy to tell you. We have to let our bard, of course, write her songs first. Oh,
I get it. Secret stuff.
Secret stuff for now, but we do plan on letting everyone know, perhaps at a show that our bard can perform to explain what we found. After, we have renovation crews get started on reclaiming the Reclaimers Academy.
But for now, maybe people should stay out if anyone was thinking about venturing in, because it could still be a little bit hazardous.
My
Hopefully.
cousin runs a construction contract firm. If you're looking for somebody to do the renovations, I know a guy. He's my cousin.
Nedry, would you take down the information for her cousin, please?
Okay. Do they handle hazardous arcanic waste?
Sure.
Good. Because it'll
Excellent.
probably be dangerous at parts.
Yes, there will definitely be some dangerous magic that will need to be disposed of.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, so you get the contact information for Nilsson and Sons and construction.
I
Thanks.
lean over Nedry and I'm like, "What you writing?"
Everything.
What's in there? Why are you always
Well,
right?
This book is mostly theories, although mixed in with the spells that I know, and the ones that I'm trying to know, and the ones I'm trying to change and modify and grow, but most of those are in only half form right now. Mostly it's observations and trying to understand everything. I have a few papers that are partially written, but the Tessatem deadline isn't coming up for a while yet. I have a new theory about splinters. There are many of them inside. I'm not entirely sure if you're not a splinter, actually, although you seem much more corporeal and actually, I don't know, cogent.
Okay.
Do you remember anything more?
Not right now.
Oh, well, if you do, I'd love to hear about it. I don't know exactly what happened at the academy. We've pieced a lot together from the things that we found, but it sounded like, well, for a while it was pretty good, and then everything sort of went bad. If you ever remember what you were teaching there, I'd love to know that too. I'm definitely Master Finster's student, but he does encourage additional study when possible, as long as it's far away from his tower.
I don't remember.
That's okay. I forget things from time to time. I'm working on that too. I might be able to overcome that.
Maybe.
Well, hopefully your memory will get better. Christiana, I want to buy some food from a street vendor for everyone in the party, especially Zaylene, because it's been, 85 years since she's eaten? She might be hungry.
So one quick note, Jenny, there's something muffled with your microphone. I'm not sure.
I keep getting a message on Zoom saying that my internet is weak.
Okay, see, just now it sounded fine, but most of the time when you're talking, it sounds very muffled.
Yeah, I don't. It's like an internet connection thing.
Okay.
That's a rude 2021 insult. Your internet is weak.
Okay, well, let's say that there are a variety of different types of food available. What kind of food do you think Zinhorn would gravitate to for this particular meal?
Like something that travels well, like meat pie or something.
Pastries.
Yeah, savory pastry kind of thing.
Yeah,
Ooh,
sure.
questionable meat on a stick.
Yeah, so maybe you find a stand that sells these kind of variety of different spices for savory meat pies, and just little pocket hand pies that can kind of just hold and munch. You don't need a fork
eat as you
or
walk.
anything. Yeah.
I'll pick up 6 of them, and actually, no, we have 3 people back at the castle, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll pick up a dozen just so we have some spares, and hand 1 to everyone, and then we'll have 3 for the people back at the castle. And we have a Loxodon who might be hungry.
Mm-hmm. A vegetarian Loxodon, she'll remind you.
Oh, then I'll make sure to get something that's made of vegetables too.
Yeah, I think they have one that's it's like samosas, with like potato and peas and stuff inside.
Yes.
And so you get some of those. Those are, let's say, like 2 copper a piece.
Okay.
But yeah, so. Hand them out. Zaylene, you've been handed a food.
What is this?
This is food. It's good. It tastes good.
Watch her carefully.
What am I supposed to do with it?
Eat it. Put it in your mouth and chew it with your teeth. And then you swallow it.
Oh, okay. I sniff it a little bit, and I sniff it again, and I kind of lick it, and then I take a little tiny bit.
So what's the conversion between gold and copper?
Oh, so 10 copper is 1 silver, 10 silver is 1 gold. So
100
think
to
of it
1.
like if 1 gold is $1, then a copper is a penny.
Okay. So I bought 12, so 88. You said a copper a piece, right?
Yep. I think that's what I said. I think I
Yeah.
said, yeah, it's fine. That's fine.
Okay. All right. I have adjusted my monies.
Thanks, Sinhorn.
You're welcome.
Zenhorn is like the Jewish mother of this group.
Sure. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this, as far as you can tell, you know, the just based on activity in the street, it seems to be kind of a normal day, early afternoon, like maybe 1 or 2 p.m., something like that.
Would that make sense from when we went in and how long we were there?
Make an intelligence check.
Yeah, I was wondering that as well.
21.
It's pretty good. It's a little bit off. Like, you would have expected it to be, I think, probably earlier in the day, because based on your experience that you know, you were there and then you took a long rest and then you got up and you did some stuff, and then I think coming back out, I think, like, per your own sort of body clock general sense of the passage of time, you would have expected it to be earlier in the day.
What's in here? I think break the pie in half. I'm looking at it inside.
It's probably not designed for that, so it's getting all kind of crumbly
Yeah.
and greasy and stuff in your hands.
That's how we learn.
I just choose not to eat.
It's very salty. Thank you. And when he's not looking, I will just actually kind of like drop it behind people.
Does Nedry notice? Because Nedry is not stopping to stop watching Zaleen. He's not very observant, mind you, but
I was just making sure Zinhorn wasn't watching, so he probably did see it.
makes a note in the book.
Alright. So where are you all headed right now? Are you headed back to the, you know, the Sky Tower and the castle?
I think so, yeah.
At the very least, we have to make sure the mirror is secure. And that's the securest place that I know about here. Aside from Master Finster's tower, but I don't think he'd like to be disturbed. Oh, reminds me, I've got work to do.
If I wanted to send a note to Father Wilfram, would it be best to wait till we get to the castle? Or is there, like, messengers that I can grab?
Well, so there are public sending stones that people pay to use here and there. So you could probably pass one of those on your way somewhere or seek one out.
And we know there's sending stones at the castle, so...
Yeah, so there is one at the castle, but also there are, you know, others elsewhere. You know, like payphones, kind of, essentially.
Right. I'm going to stop at one and send a message to Father Wilfram and say we need some undead aging removed from a friend. Can someone meet us at the castle?
Mm-hmm. So there's a little box that you basically drop like 1 silver in, and then the box goes, and the sending stone is inside.
Okay. I will, excuse me, send that message.
Okay. What's the message to Father Wilfram?
We need help removing undead aging from a friend. Please send someone to the castle.
So I think the normal practice would be to bring the person to the temple, unless there's like an emergency or or that would be
Okay.
a problem. I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm just saying I think that would be the normal practice is people come to the temple for that sort of service. But like there would be certainly circumstances where like, oh, if someone can't be moved or something like that.
Yeah, I don't have, like, we're all exhausted and
Okay.
out of spells,
So
and
that it's totally fine to
Yeah.
request that. It would just be I would just want you to understand that's not the normal protocol, and so
Right.
yeah.
right. And I think when I explain to him my mindset, he'll be fine with it,
Okay.
or maybe he won't. But that's like, if we can't fight off, an unruly mob of street urchins right now. We're all tired and out of resources. So, like, I want to get to the castle where we'll feel safe and can get rest. And I want Nedry to get taken care of as soon as possible.
Okay. So the other thing that I'll mention is that for the temple, this is the sort of service that like is generally speaking, like when people come to the temple, like this is not free because there is a material cost to this spell, right? So
Right.
this is not something they do for just anyone for free, but because you work for the temple and work for the orphanage, you would generally expect that like this is the sort of thing like they would help you out. You guys don't necessarily you wouldn't be expected to pay.
Well, I also think that Lord Releth would be more than willing to pay.
Well, that's probably true. Also, I'm just saying like it's one of those things where it costs the church money to cast the
Right.
spell.
And I will make sure that they are covered on that,
Okay.
even if I have to pay myself.
All right. So your message is we have a need to reverse some undead aging from a friend. Please send someone to the castle at
Yeah,
Tier 3 Sky Tower, so on.
right.
Okay, yeah. So you receive a reply to say, Zinhorn, it would appear that you have encountered some dangers quite quickly in your new endeavor. I will send someone right away. I hope everything is all right.
I don't like can I send a reply without?
I mean, you would have to pay another silver.
Okay.
Like when you send the first message, it goes, thunk.
Yeah,
reply
I don't
just
want him
comes
to
straight to
worry.
you.
I'll pay another silver,
Yeah.
and I'll say, we're all right. We just feel like we need to get back to the castle immediately. And I will.
Very well. I know that there is a time limit on these things, so I will stop by myself this evening.
Okay. And I'm not paying another silver to say thank you.
Yeah.
That'll be the end of it until we
That's
get
how
to
they
the
get you
castle.
in this racket, man.
Yeah. So I do like the image of like you drop the coin in and then as soon as you send the message, thunk.
Is this something that I would have ever seen before?
Probably not.
Okay, because I imagine that she just sort of like is walked over and she's like watching him do this with like wide-eyed amazement. And then like I'll turn to Trina and be like, who's he talking to?
He's talking to the father at his, is it a school or a parish? I forget, Paul.
It's a church and orphanage.
Okay. Yeah, at the orphanage. It's a pretty neat little magic that lets him send messages.
So just as this is a brief note that is just for Carolina. So for the moment, this is everyone should pretend they don't know anything about this, because Carolina does not look any different. But Carolina, I think you can feel the difference. So how are you? What are you thinking about that?
Well, I'm tired, but I have a plan.
Okay.
Sort of. I have part of a plan.
Okay. Sounds good. So, you are all then continuing on your way back to Castle Relent?
Definitely paying for the elevators.
Yeah, I would think so.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than carrying all that stuff. So, you as you are walking through town, Zaleen, I think you had not really even considered that this place could be so big, like just this city. It just keeps going and going and going, and there's just more buildings and more people, and just everywhere you look, there's just more and more and more. And then eventually, you realize that you're heading in the direction of a tower that just looms in the sky, and has big platforms coming off of it at various directions, almost like leaves coming off of a plant stem, but just hundreds and hundreds of feet into the air. And that's apparently where you're going, where everyone's getting ready to climb into a little car that's going to lift you up to a higher leaf.
This is very strange.
It's pretty neat, actually.
Up at the very
Maybe.
top, you see something that looks like a gigantic floating egg that's connected to the very top of the tower.
Wow. What is that? Up there, that thing. What is that?
Trying to remember.
Is that the
I
spirit?
believe it's the
Airship.
spirit of the tower, right?
Well, no. So in this case, I was describing an airship, but yeah, the
Oh.
spirit of the tower that you see sometimes is like kind of like a jellyfish, but it's not especially visible today. It's more or less visible on different days.
That is a fairly recent kind of magic called an airship.
Air.
Are you familiar with ships that travel on water?
Maybe.
It's like a really large flying cart.
Okay.
I don't think they have wheels.
Hmm.
No wheels, no wings.
This place is very big.
This place? You don't know Bashan?
Maybe. No. I don't know.
It is a
I don't
capital
know.
city. It is quite large.
I
It
don't
has been
know.
growing. Maybe in the 70 or 80 years it's been, maybe it's grown that much more, I suppose.
Well, and it also changes quite frequently.
Well, sometimes instantaneously.
It's very
Lord Relent's
big.
castle is on one of the levels up there. It also flies. I mean, we haven't actually seen it fly, but I'm pretty sure that Cernia wouldn't lie to us about that.
Well,
Or
I mean,
Lord Relent, for
it
that
got
matter.
up there somehow. It didn't like just get built there. So
Well, it could have, or maybe it crawled, or just teleported. It's big, but you could probably do that. But it probably flew.
Probably as you're riding this elevator up to the third platform up, you're a couple hundred feet in the air now, and you're just looking out over the sprawl of this city. It just keeps going and going and going. And but as they lead you past a number of great big stacked crates and boxes, almost like this whole big thing is mostly for storage of great big containers of things. But then there's also a castle. And this castle is, kind of square in its footprint, but it's propped up on something because the stairs that lead up to what looks like the front door go up about 20 feet before you get to that level, and you would enter this the front door of this castle. That's where everyone seems to be heading. And you recall that Carolina had told you were headed to this castle, but there it is.
Oh, if you thought the airships were weird, I don't want you to be scared. I don't really want to see what would happen if you accidentally let loose some magic that you don't necessarily know how to control. But that's all the side things. It's really, if you see things moving, that's just Sunya. It's not like, well, you might not see anything. You might hear something. She talks very pleasantly. But she's the spirit of this building, or this vehicle, or this thing. Anyway, it's her.
Can I see her?
I haven't exactly seen her, although she sometimes hangs out in some of the armor.
She is the castle.
Sort of.
The spirit of the place.
She's
So
not the
form,
castle.
her form is the castle, but the voice is a bit disembodied.
Kind of like, well, at least according to about a half a dozen theories, like Sombra was for the Reclaimers Academy. Does the name Sombra mean anything to you?
Didn't you already ask me that?
But maybe you remember something more.
No. Sorry.
Worth a shot.
So, as you make your way up the stairs to the front entrance of Castle Relent, the doors swing open for you, and you do immediately hear Sunya just say, "Welcome back. Who's your new friend?"
This is Zaylene. We don't know a lot about her, but it's kind of a long story, and I feel like should probably only tell it once. So maybe let Lord Yobert know that we are back. Oh, how long has it been since we left?
Well, it's only been a couple of hours. You just left to go visit the real estate agents this morning, yes?
Oh. Sort of.
It's been more than a day for us.
Yes. Like I said, it's a long story. So if he is available, maybe have him and Brennan and Shorshana come into the, is it the throne room? Is that like what it is? Like
Yeah, I mean, like, I think what Brennan had called it previously was the Great Hall. But
the Great Hall. Yes. So
it is
if you
kind of
could-
a throne room.
Yeah. If they are indisposed, if they could come to the Great Hall, we have a lot to tell them.
I'll let them know right away. It is very nice to meet you, Zaylene. And again, you're hearing just this voice just coming from kind of nowhere and everywhere here in the entryway of this castle.
Where are you?
I'm here. You're inside the castle that makes up my material tether.
Do you like it?
Well, I've never really known anything else, but I suppose so. I do like it, yes. I like it when I have people here to stay and to take care of.
I bet you take good care of people.
I try. Is that something you've done?
Probably not.
Well, I can't wait to hear more about your story.
Me too.
So you would be led, down the hall to a spiral staircase where you can all go up a level and down a little hallway, which can take you to the Great Hall, and you can see in there. You can head right there that Brennan and Yobert are already there. So Brennan is half orc, wearing like a derby hat and a nice like silk vest over like a sort of like white dress shirt, but with the top two buttons undone. And with him is a tiefling man in with sort of like pale lavender skin, who's dressed quite well, but also looks a little bit sickly. Like he's just not got sort of a strong constitution, and he's sitting at a little table that's kind of been set up there, and they both look over as you enter, and Yobert, the tiefling, sort of he makes a point to stand and just says, "Welcome. I'm informed that you are Zaylene, and welcome back, everyone else. Something happened, it sounds like."
Oh, yes. So at this point, Carolina would launch into this wild tale about
Well,
everything.
Sorashana wasn't there yet, but like we can say
Oh.
she shows up.
Okay, yes.
So shortly thereafter, a young woman who is very tall, very skinny, white hair, very sort of pale, fair complexion, like someone who doesn't get a lot of sun, but otherwise sort of fair complexion, and sort of like wide staring eyes, and a little bit of a not standoffish, like hostile demeanor, but like a wariness about her, as she kind of comes in and sort of like stands in the corner and is definitely listening, but doesn't seem about to come any closer into the room.
Did you say she's wearing her mask or not?
Oh, she's not wearing her mask at present. She has it like up on her head, but like not pulled down over her face. She's wearing what you can see now is like at first you thought it was a strange hat, but then you believe that it's a mask that could be pulled down over her face.
So when everyone is gathered, Carolina will then launch into the wild tale of their adventure into this little pocket of the murder mansion. And as she is telling this tale, she will allow for small breaks where Nedry would launch into explanations of some of the various things that we encountered, but in a way that like keeps him kind of dialed back so that he's not going too deep into the weeds. And yeah, so talking about all of the battles, so like starting in the basement and, the ash zombies and tracing the path of this entity that rolled through this mansion, just obliterating everybody, and then putting the pieces of the story together in a way so that Lord Yobert and Brennan and Shorshana and of course Sunya would all be able to re-experience the story as we lived it. And then yes, at last coming to the conclusion of the story where we battle the what we think is the final monster, only to have to fight another one. And then we meet Zaylene, who falls through the hole, and we wake her with the key, and she is mysterious and without memory.
Although she does seem to have the identity of Professor Zaylin Velrai, but none of the memories, at least not yet. We're hoping they'll return in time, perhaps with prompts and flashcards.
So, just a couple of like inserts. I think when you first mention the whole real estate arrangement where you show up and it turns out that it belongs to the people who asked for it, Yobert does ask, like, do you have all of the paperwork that he gave you, the contracts and such?
Yes, I have the deed. I've been carrying it for us.
He says, I will need to take a look at that a bit later. I want to hear the rest of your story. There may be some complications associated with that, but that can wait. And so he would ask you to continue at that point. But and I think as you're telling more of the story, Sorashana does, overcome some of her standoffishness, as she is interested in hearing more about what's going on. She does kind of come a bit closer into the room, but I don't think she never comes more than maybe like 7 or 8 feet away, and kind of stands there almost like there's some line on the floor that she doesn't want to cross. But she does like watch you all with the like she's listening, especially as you mention any of the items that you've got. She's definitely curious about those, but through all of it, her gaze does keep coming back to Zaleen with kind of like a studious, like, what's going on there sort of expression. She's definitely giving you a surveying sort of look, Zaleen.
I just do it right back to her, trying to understand what she is, why she's so fascinated by me.
Mm-hmm. I think that like you staring back at her doesn't seem to bother her at all, but I think to everyone else there's a little bit of a like they're doing the same thing at each other. So as you sort of finish the story though, go ahead and how about a performance check?
Sure.
Why not roll some dice?
Oh, 25.
There you go.
They love that story.
Yeah. Well, it's also just like how astounding that everything has happened so serendipitously. We thought we were just following up on a lead, and yet here we are now where you have already delved into, explored, and then rescued someone from a pocket dimension.
This house is clean. I'm wanting to say that for like so many episodes, you guys.
Well, it's also worth noting, I think, that the reference there is that when the woman says this house is clean in Poltergeist, she is actually wrong.
Well, that house is most definitely not clean. Like,
Yeah.
all kinds of sage needs to be burned in there. Like, probably bleach too. Like,
Yeah.
just like maybe burn it down. I don't know.
But
Got good bones. Got good bones. Just a little demo, you'll be fine.
sure. But I think at like as especially sort of the nature of like at least what you understand about Zaleen, Yobert does take a moment to say, Zaleen, is that how you would like to be addressed?
Yeah,
Miss Velron?
please. That also works. Mm-hmm.
I will use either as you prefer.
So, did Zaleen have any reaction to the story and hearing about everything that we encountered and saw happen?
No, because she was busy staring. She was like completely tuned out, trying to figure out why this person was staring at her.
So, Miss Velrai, I am pleased to have you here in my home. My question to you at this point would be, is there somewhere else you would want to go or to be? You are welcome to stay here now for a time until we determine whether or not other arrangements can be made, but I want to know what it is that you wish to have happen at this point.
I want to stay with Trina. She's very strong, and she said she would protect me.
Trina is amazing.
Trina's blushing.
Well,
Andrew lets out a huge sigh of relief. It was that moment when, are they going to take my toys away?
Well, absolutely. Then we certainly can accommodate that. Is there anyone that you know that you would like for us to try to contact?
No.
So, forgive
Everyone
me
I
if
know is gone.
So I guess that is part of what I was going to ask, is the two-part element of it is whether there would be anyone you knew, and secondarily, if you did know someone, would you want to contact them?
I don't think so. I don't know anyone anymore.
So, Miss Velrine, you have no doubt noticed that you have the interest of my friend Sorashana, and he gestures. She is a student and a scholar of many things related to pocket dimensions and intraplanar studies and these sorts of things, and I am certain that she is fascinated by your story, and she would be interested in speaking more with you, studying your story and that sort of thing. But what I would say is that only what you consent to allow.
Maybe. I have to talk to Nedry first. And then maybe.
Well, you can talk to us both. Sorashana has some really interesting insights.
So yeah, at this point, like there's a moment like when you know I have to talk to Nedry first. There's a moment, Nedry, where Sorashana's gaze just suddenly whips over to you, and you know your thought for a moment is like, is she going to be jealous or something? But no, it's more just kind of like she's looking at you like you're her in to this. Now,
Oh,
not
thank God
only
I know him.
now, not only does she get to study someone, but she has someone who can be the go-between, and she doesn't have to necessarily like
Yeah.
she has a liaison.
That's like a little bit like the blind leading the blind there, but yeah.
So Yobert does just kind of finish with just saying, so I'm sure she would be interested, but I want you to always know that at any point you are well within your rights and completely permitted to decline any offered experiment or study.
Thank you. Experiments.
Well, there may be some that Sorashana may propose that you will want to say no to, and I just want you to understand that your permission to stay here is not contingent on agreeing to participate.
Thank you. I look back at the Sorashana like just sort of like giving her the stare.
She is now looking at you a bit like a 4-year-old who has just asked if she can have a cookie. and she does. There's a moment where she seems to belatedly realize that like I should probably say something. So, and then I think what she says is I should probably say something. So what I will say is I'm glad you're here. I think you have a very interesting story, and I want to learn more. and maybe I can help you learn more too, if you'd like that.
Maybe. We'll have to see. I don't know much.
Well, I know lots of things, but not all the things. So sometimes we can maybe figure out if we don't know the same things, we can find them out together.
Okay.
She smiles and then immediately runs from the room. You get the impression, though, that there's an eagerness in her flight as opposed to like fear. She is planning something.
Like she ran off to get her beakers ready and
Yeah. And so Yobert, the introduction that you probably would have already had from Carolina is that Yobert is part of a noble family. He is the sort of the patron of this organization. The castle belongs to him. Brennan is his old adventuring partner and current bodyguard slash, like, not servant, but nonetheless still the guy who does everything. Butler slash cook slash whatever, right? But it does seem to be not entirely a standard like master-servant relationship. They're old friends. And so, and then of course, Sunia has kind of listened to all this just kind of patiently and just said, and Zaylene, please forgive me if it seems a bit impertinent to ask. As Yobert mentioned, I don't want you to feel pressured to discuss anything that makes you feel uncomfortable, but I sense something of the spiritual nature about you. Is this something that you are aware of?
I don't know.
Can you explain a little bit more?
Asking the air, asking someone.
It's like, well, I don't know. I think perhaps it's something that can be, perhaps Sorashana can study. For me, it's a bit like if, when you eat food, yes, and let's say ice cream, and one ice cream cone is vanilla and one is chocolate, yes? And you taste the two and you know which is which, right? How do you know which is which?
Well, your tongue.
They
has
taste different. Yes?
Sure.
She tastes different. That sounds awkward.
No, I'm just getting this mental picture of this spirit, just like everybody that walks through the door gets licked.
Just a little.
That's an incredible sense. I'll have to figure out how we can use that. Maybe I'll be able to develop it myself. Not that I want to
Nedry,
taste
maybe-
people.
Yeah, maybe ask before you lick someone.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's an active sense or whether it's passive. I don't ask people to see them, I just see them. But I would have to ask if I was going to lick them. I mean, I probably would have to. That would be a little weird.
That's what she's
What
saying.
do people
yeah.
taste like anyway? Does everybody taste different? Oh,
And he kind of licks the back of his hand.
huh. Salty.
Trying to
think
take
they'd
a
have
step
to.
away. She takes a step back. Don't lick me, man.
So I think at this point, I assume you mentioned that Father Wilfram would be coming.
Yes.
As part of the telling the story, and I think
Right.
Brennan just says, "Well, I'm glad that you've got a contact to help with that. I mean, is everyone else okay? Is anyone else hurt? Do you need anything?
I mean, it's not that bad. I just don't fit into my robes anymore.
I
It's
think
weird.
I think we're all just very, very tired. We're all pretty wiped.
Well, I can imagine. I mean, it sounds like you had, if you'll forgive me, you had a heck of a day, a long day. I mean, for us, you left here just a few hours ago. But if it was really a whole, 2 whole days for you?
Yeah, it was
Almost,
almost
yeah.
2 full days,
Almost.
yeah. Day and a half.
That would be amazing. I want to go back.
Yeah, I suppose it's better that way than the other way, right? And then Yobert actually mentions, I imagine that means that the experience of anyone trapped in that pocket dimension for the 85 years that passed on the outside, it would have felt like far longer. He kind of just nods to Zaleen. Well, you are welcome here. There are places that you can rest. Let me know if you need anything. You can also just speak with Sunia, and she can provide what you need within reason, and we can hopefully give you a place where you can help to find yourself and determine what you wish to do next.
Thank you.
So, the other thing that I will mention now that we've covered some of those big things is that you have you've gained some property, it would seem, and that's very exciting, but there is a bit of a complexity to this from a legal perspective. Were it up to me entirely, I would be open to just about anything that we might find to do with this property. But given that you were present and received this deed while acting under the auspices of our organization, be clear, I'm not trying to say it belongs to me and not to you. But there is a legal precedent to suggest that, and the problem is that I abdicated my position as the head of the Relent household. And part of that gave me grant to Sunia and this castle. But all other property holdings are administered by my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And this means we will need his permission to do anything with the property. And this does not need to be anything that you need to concern yourselves with. I can make arrangements if there's anything that if you have ideas or thoughts on the subject, we can take that into consideration. But the short version is that I've not spoken to my brother in a while, and we don't have at present the warmest relationship. So I can make arrangements to formally notify him of this new holdings and make a proposal for how they might be handled. But there is the possibility that it will be out of my hands.
So, I don't mean to pry in personal matters, but I'm getting the impression that you don't have the warmest relationship with him.
Well, I did just say exactly that, but
Yeah, well, my wonder here is if you needed to send him some documents or speak with him, or maybe having someone else do that on your behalf would smooth the way for anything that we might ask if you didn't want to speak with him personally.
I think that I would need to be involved personally, but I have to say the thought of having someone in my corner for a change during that conversation does have its appeal.
Well, I'm sure any one of us would be happy to help, but I personally would offer my services should you need them.
Yes, I appreciate that. I think that will very likely become something we will need to address, but not tonight.
I did have an idea. I'm sure it would be one of many as to what we could do with that property, assuming all of the legal issues are satisfactorily resolved.
Mm-hmm.
The city could always use another orphanage. And I'm sure that the Church of Brashama, well, I would hope that they would have an interest in rejuvenating such a property as that and helping to purge the darkness from it.
Well, I mean, we'd have to study the darkness for a long time first, though. There's an opportunity to understand a lot of what's happening. Yeah, at that place, still connected to it. I wouldn't want to destroy all that.
That is an interesting suggestion. I think that may be something that could be persuasive. As the former head of the house, I have my own domain granted to me, but I have not had any control over the rest of the Relent business holdings for some time, but it does seem to me, to the extent that I have been following them, that they could use some positive PR. And so...
Possibly even an orphanage named for your family?
That is something that may well be something they would be interested in. We'll have to see.
I will have to check with the church. I have not talked to them yet. I have ideas.
Of course.
That house will need a lot of work before it's suitable for adults, let alone children.
I mean, it could be an anchor point for a near ethereal dimension, which would be sort of, I guess, dangerous for the kids?
Yes,
And
we would
fascinating.
definitely want to make it safe before any kids were there.
Mm-hmm.
Or useful.
So, I will initiate contact with my brother, as would be required of me by law, and I'm sure that this will develop. But once again, nothing needs to be done tonight.
Excellent. And the prior from my church is coming, Father Wolfram.
Yes.
And if you're okay with it, I will at least sound the idea with him and see what he thinks about having who we should actually ask about this within the church.
Yes, very good. As I suspect you already know, don't make any promises. I cannot,
No promises will be made.
the decision will be out of my hands, but if we can make a strong case, there may be a possibility of persuasion.
Excellent.
Good. So, I would imagine you are all ready to get some rest, so feel free.
Well, there's way too much to be done.
I believe that we could have some sandwiches set up or whatever you would like. I have to say, I think all of you have already begun the work that I hoped we would accomplish. And I'm just very pleased to have you all here. And Miss Velrai, welcome to Sunia di un Torpedo, which he sort of gestures as like to the place. All right, so
I'm gonna motion to Brennan and show him the extra meat pies that I brought to share with them.
he's like, "Oh, I love these," and he's just like eagerly takes whatever leftover ones you've got, and he gives one to Yobert as well. And he's just kind of like, I haven't had one of these in a while. And he takes a bite and he's like, saltier than I remembered. Thank you, Sinhorn. It's very thoughtful.
You're very welcome. I need a long rest.
Yeah. So,
but first,
okay.
Nedry goes over.
We have
and
guests.
all the
Yes.
stuff we've splayed out, which is we've been sort of displaying each of the things that we've had so far as part of the story. Now sensing that the sort of formal meeting is over, he immediately goes over and starts studying them.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Any problem with us dividing the coins that we found? I find myself in need of a little extra pocket change.
Oh, by all means. By all means. I mean, I was just thinking myself that you'll probably all do a bonus.
You can definitely use some more ink.
Probably gonna need more business cards. I think maybe I should give them to the rest of you guys, just in case I'm not around. Zaylene,
I think you are encouraged at a certain point. If you're going to study magical artifacts and stuff, you should do that up on the workshop at level.
Yeah,
Oh, can somebody carry the mirror?
I'll carry the mirror. Sequential. I think you were holding the money,
Oh.
the coins.
So
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah,
little
yeah.
drawer.
There we go.
Little drawer.
Not
He
even
just
keeping
presses his
track
finger.
of that.
Ching, the drawer opens up.
We had 40 gold.
I'll
Zay-
go ahead and just say that you all end up with a bonus of 25 gold apiece. Just
Okay.
because he's pleased with how things went today.
All right.
Everyone?
Poo-poo.
Even me?
I mean, there's an element of you haven't signed a contract or anything, so actually I think there might be a little bit of no gold for you, Zillian, but there's an element of sort of, while dispersing it is it's because they have signed on to be part of this organization. That is something that might potentially be an offer open to you if you decide to stay.
Okay.
in the meantime, would you like China and myself could probably show you up to where we've been staying?
Okay.
So there's multiple levels of this castle. There's the level that you were just on that had this big hall / throne room. But then one level up, there is like a library / workshop / greenhouse level / reading room, lots of that sort of thing. And then the next level up, there is cannonade rows where there's these big, fancy, ornate cannons. But in the center on that level is kind of a bedroom with multiple beds. That's kind of where everyone had been staying so far.
I'll be right back.
And then if you're just getting the tour, on the next level up is the roof. The level that you came in on also has like the kitchens and some other like quarters. And then none of you have actually gone asked to go down there yet, but the level below that is like mechanical, the mechanical level for the flying elements, because this is in fact a flying castle. Not like presently, like it's not currently flying, it's just sitting there, but capable of flight. All right, so Nedry, you're taking the various bits of loot up to the workshop. All right, well, how do you want to
ritually casting detect magic and identify?
Okay. So tell me which things. We'll go ahead and do them in order.
Probably starting with the jagged dagger.
Okay. It is magic. I think if the list of things is the dagger, the circlet, the cards, and the bag, they're all magical.
Yep. Okay.
The dagger, if you go ahead and identify that one, is a dagger of blind sight. It is basically just like a standard dagger in terms of like damage and to hit, although it would be considered magical damage. But the key element of it is that when you are attuned to it, you have blind sight out to 30 feet. Which means that, you can essentially sense things even in total darkness, even in magical darkness.
Cool. Next, I think Iselda's bag.
Okay. So, I've created magic items for some of these because, as you would guess, there are some complicated things going on. So what I'll just kind of sum up right now, rather than just giving you the whole magical item, is that you discover that there are some very unusual properties of this bag, which you might have guessed based on the fact that it seemed to eat a person. What you have determined is that it is a bit like a bag of holding, but also there is a sort of infamous, dangerous creature that can sometimes disguise itself as a bag of holding, called a bag of devouring. This is not that, but it seems to have taken some inspiration from it. This is, you discover that it is essentially like it sort of names itself as a bag of protection. What it does is that it is trapped, that if any living creature other than the person attuned to it tries to reach into it, it will attempt to pull them inside. You can disable the trap by turning the bag inside out, but it also won't do anything else that way, right? Like it is not dangerous and can't pull anyone in if it's turned inside out, but also it doesn't do any of the other things it does. But technically what's in there is a demi-plane where it can function a bit like a bag of holding, in the sense that if someone who is attuned to the bag puts things in it, they can consciously have it be sorted either to a standard storage area or to an area where it can be stored within an anti-magic field. And technically inside it is not a standard bag of holding, it is a sort of demi-plane of a cubic area about 100 feet on a side. And it has a number of different things in it, including 4 like prison cell types of enclosures. And when creatures are sucked inside, they are trapped in those cells. And so here, and there's a number of other properties about it, like the interior of the bag is shielded against divination magic, and planar travel is impossible from inside. Here's the complication. To do all of those other things about it, like, it requires to be attuned. But it is currently attuned to someone. So, right now, unless you can find a way to break that attunement, if you tried to reach inside it, you would be subject to the trap, just like anyone else.
Do I have any idea of how to break the attunement, or is that something I have to research?
So I think you would have to research, because you get the impression. So make an Arcana check for how that typically works.
Oh, what a terrible roll. 10.
Okay. Yeah, so what you know is that usually with attuned items, all it really kind of takes is for someone to kind of decide to not be attuned anymore. Like, they kind of just sort of concentrate on not being attuned, and you sort of break that magical connection. You know that, like, maybe also usually being physically separated for a while from an item will break the attunement, but something about this one, like it looks like it'll be harder than that, and you're not sure right now how to break the attunement without the cooperation of the person that it is currently attuned to. So,
do I have any idea what's in the bag right now, or just the structure of it?
no, and that's seems to be part of its magic, is that it's specifically warded against being able to tell that.
Okay.
But
And
what your identify tells you is that its function usually is kind of multifold. It is for keeping, dangerous individuals prisoner. It is for, being just a generic bag of holding type of storage, but also like potentially a place to store dangerous magical artifacts. That is kind of its intent. And then the trapped element of it seems to be for exactly the purpose that you saw it used for, which is someone tries to take it off of you and steal something from it. Well, guess what? Yeah.
Well, it's pretty amazing. It's going to require a lot of research. Maybe some anchoring.
So I guess you can go ahead and the item I've created for that is Isildur's Bag of Protection.
Okay.
But the note about it is just that you cannot currently attune to it because it is attuned to someone else.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right.
Next would be Syllabus Cards.
Okay. So, as mentioned before, too, this is a very powerful, complicated thing, and so it is recognizably a deck of cards for this game, Vidunme, which is, in our world, like tarot. Essentially, it's a sort of not inherently magical, but it's believed to be. It's often used in sort of divination rituals and that sort of thing. It's for fortune telling and that sort of thing, which can be anything from, total fakery to something that's actually used as a focus for something real and powerful, right? But in this particular case, what these seem to do, among other miscellaneous properties, is that it can twist the fate of a targeted creature. Like, if you're attuned to these cards, you can basically look at a creature and like twist their fate to either the positive or the negative. And it's also capable, under certain circumstances, of trapping something, like a creature within one of the cards. But the problem is that it's a little bit unstable, and every time you use it to twist the fate of something, there's a risk that one of the creatures trapped within one of the cards could be released. It also has a few other miscellaneous minor properties. It can let you cast a number of different divination spells, but you can look at those in particular, those details, with Isildur's Vidunme of Nightmares.
It's a nice, calm title.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he's in the workshop, so he would be both writing this down and kind of describing it to Sorashana, I think, is probably there.
Sure, yeah. She's fascinated. She is very excited that you have this spell because it's very useful. Like, it just saves a lot of time.
And a lot of danger. And he says kind of nervously, "This one could be bad. I'm sure it'll be okay, but it's probably really powerful. And I'm not really sure. Never mind. I'll just try it."
The feeling. I was actually just still thinking on the cards. I think the general flavor you feel of the magic is that it is very powerful, but it's also kind of like wild. There's just an element of its power not fully under control.
In this case, it was his hesitation about the deep jade circlet as well.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Because he knows. And it's another kind of midnight stone.
Yeah, she definitely recognizes that of it. And so this is the circlet is, it's about 2 inches wide, has a large central piece made from this dark green crystalline stone, but it has kind of these black veins running along it that look a bit like what, spread all over the walls of the room during that ritual. But so you do the identify on that one?
Yes.
It does a number of things that, as you would have guessed. One of the things that it can do is called Indomitable Stand. And what you can do is you use an action to kind of hold your ground. And for the next minute or until you move, you have advantage on all checks and saving throws to resist effects to force you to move. And any enemy that wants to come within 10 feet of you would have to pass a DC 18 strength saving throw or be unable to move any closer to you. And you suspect that's what happened when Isilda tried to approach the Arcanist during the ritual. Is that she couldn't, it was holding her back.
Right.
When you are attuned to this and wearing it, you can't be petrified. You can cast Meld into Stone as a bonus action. You have resistance to all damage dealt by ranged weapon attacks with an aura of deflection. You have advantage on strength saving throws, and you can use your reaction to avoid being knocked prone. But then it also naturally reacts in the presence of the veils between planes. When you wear the circlet, you are instantly aware of all portals and areas of interplanar friction within a 100-foot radius.
Oof. Wow.
And while wearing the circlet, you can use your action to cast Dispel Magic once at the 3rd level to dispel any spell of magical effect, any spell or magical effect of the Abjuration School, like a Wall of Force or those sorts of things. You can make, and if it's a higher level thing, you make the Arcana check at advantage.
That could be really useful for people who want to explore pocket dimensions.
It's kind of amazing. I wonder where Tanglefoot actually got it from. I hope we have more time to study these before everything gets taken away.
Sorashana, I think, looks up at that as just a, who's taking them away?
Some of these things, maybe not, because they belong to a cell, but the other things might be considered part of the building, really. Part of the estate. Right now, we sort of own it. But that apparently could change. That would be bad.
She looks at you and just says, they're not part of the building. They're right here.
Oh, I know that, but people get funny about owning things.
She kind of just frowns and nods as your impression is that she is thinking about all the other times people have said that there are rules about things that make no sense, and she's just like, another one on the list of just like people say just like seem to like every time they just don't want you to do something, they say there's a rule that says you can't.
In the meantime, these things, and the mirror over there,
And I'll explain to her what the mirror does.
could be exactly what we need. If we're going to continue to explore these smaller interdimensional planes and things like that, and all these creatures that are around, it would be great to be able to study them without actually getting hurt, or at least be able to put them away in case they're hurting others.
So, this is like a pattern, though. Did you? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just seeing it where it's not there. But it seems like you got, like, of all of these things that you've got the mirror, and the cards, and the bag that all trap people.
Yeah, they may come from a common source of magic. I have theories about the Dawn's Tear, the Dinethir, whatever name you prefer, and the nature of the magic that they had there. The cards in particular belonging to Izeld seem to confirm some of that. When we were talking to Professor Tinthus about the probabilistic magic that he was working on, they seemed to, from his remembrance, know more about it than they were letting on, which leads me to suspect that the core magic that they have relies upon such things. But as for the rest, it seems of a different school, although the bag would be Izeld's and maybe reflects some of that. There's a lot of confusion about the nature of the magic and exactly what Dinethir is or was or could be. A number of people have mentioned nightmares, for example, which suggests to me that it's some sort of plane in a distant relative to the plane where the Mistress of the Dark is. And I've heard that has a very bad effect on people's minds, although I don't know much about it yet. It's one of the things on my list to research. But if what they were trying to do was open up some sort of gateway to that plane, and that thing came out that we saw before, you should have seen it. It was able to float without any apparent sign of effort. It had multiple eyes, which is really interesting. Like it needed to see more.
She
or maybe
looks
see
at
beyond.
you and says, "You have multiple eyes."
More than two. More than the usual number, I guess. More like a spider, I suppose. And you know how hard it is to catch a spider, right? They can see you because they can see everywhere. So I imagine it could see everywhere, maybe even more. But it also had a lot of teeth.
Sounds scary.
It was. But we get through. Carolina told it a really bad thing or something. I don't understand how her magic works. And it seemed to be scared of her, so that's good.
Right. So I think while that's going on, probably it's, a couple of hours after you get back that Father Wilfram arrives. And, Sunia having been told to expect him, Zinhorn, what have you been getting up to since you've been back?
I have been laying down and just
Hey, no, that's fair.
resting. And if my
Yeah.
mind is like too wound up, I'll go up on the cannonade deck and fashion myself some sort of a chair, get some pillows, and just stare out at the air, the
Well,
city,
you could do that up
the
on the
birds.
roof if you wanted. I mean,
What?
you could go up on the roof too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Go
the
up on the
cannonade
roof,
is actually the level below the roof.
stretch
Well,
my wings.
And I was going to say, if it appeared that he was having trouble relaxing, I would definitely offer like a few of the calmer songs in my repertoire, just to ease the way into a nap.
Sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, a nap before Father Wolfram got there would definitely help.
So as you, I think in the chat they were expecting you to actually sing a song. Sterling.
No,
Not this one. Okay. So, but yes, Father Wilfram comes, and so Sunia, I think, maybe you're sort of lightly dozing Zinhorn, and you just hear, Sunia just say, Zinhorn, Father Wilfram is here. Shall I show him up?
Yes, please, Sunya. And I will get myself properly attired to meet my superior.
So I think, as he comes up to join you, guided by Sunia's voice, he's kind of looking around and says, well, it's a lot nicer than the bunks, isn't it?
It feels empty. There's not enough people here. I'm used to having more people around. Yeah. It's nice and all, but I do miss the bunks.
I think I know what you mean.
So we encountered a ghost.
Yes.
First off, it possessed me.
Oh, wow.
With the help of Carolina. Actually, Carolina sung me a song that did something to help me, and I was able to push it out. But I want to make sure that maybe in the future I can be more protected if we're going to keep doing this. And that's kind of a long-term thing. The short-term thing is that Nedry was aged by the ghost.
Yes. You had mentioned that, but and we can go to restore Nedry in just a moment. But I wanna just check in with you. How are you feeling about this? I mean, this is ghosts are no picnic. I mean, this is more danger than I think you've had to deal with before. How are you holding up?
Honestly, there was lots of other physical danger as well. There was a crazy arcanist who was doing a ritual who brought a nightmare in to our realm that we were able to beat back. And so it's all very disturbing. But I'm just gonna wait and kind of see how it hits me and figure out how to deal with it once I know what I'm dealing with, as it were. But it has made me want to know more about these types of undead, recognizing them, and protecting myself and my friends from them.
I can certainly understand that. So I think you've been trained to call upon Rushama to to turn undead and unholy creatures when you can. But obviously, as sounds like you discovered, if you have been possessed, you can't do that. Once you are possessed, it takes quite a lot to expel such a spirit from you, as I think you discovered. I mean, I think you're very fortunate your friend was able to help you in that regard, but as a proactive measure, there is a spell known as Protection from Evil and Good that can ward you against possession.
Okay. I will have to look into that, and
Yeah, that's a
think
first.
I have it.
Yeah, it's a first level spell that you can take as a cleric.
Okay. It just never occurred to me to actually use it.
It's actually a spell that that Nedry was casting.
Yes, and I actually have it. I just
Yeah.
haven't used it. I've been so focused on being able to heal and to do damage that that's something I'm going to have to think more
Oh yes, it's
strategically about.
anyone going out into danger is always trying to do their best to see the future and which spells are going to help them out more than others. It's sometimes it's a difficult choice to make.
Yes.
But if you're feeling all right, I just want to say I'm proud of what you're accomplishing so far. It's remarkable. Like, there's a lot of people who would come away from an encounter with a ghost and more, it sounds like, feeling like they want to turn their back on any of that sort of danger and never face it again, but seems like you've determined that this is your path. Am I wrong, or?
No, you're correct. This was a horrible situation. What went on in the Reclaimers Academy, and to help put that to rest, and for hopefully for good. It feels good to have accomplished that. And if there are, I'm sure there are other things like that still need doing. And I'm glad to be part of a group that is setting out to do that.
Well, as you know, Rushama rewards those who act with boldness to go out in the world and make it better.
Speaking of which, there's a possibility, small possibility, that we may have some say in what happens to the building that used to be the Reclaimers Academy in the future. There are some legal issues that need to be addressed first before anything else can happen. But I thought it might make a fantastic orphanage once all of the darkness had been purged, and of course the place had been cleaned and rebuilt. It needs a lot of work.
That's a pretty large building. I don't know it well. I just have seen it from a distance, but it was a large academy at the time of its operation, wasn't it?
It is a very large building.
Wow. That would be certainly a location of tremendous value if something like that could be arranged. I have no doubt that Rushama could guide us to make good use of such a thing if it could be arranged, but certainly legal issues do get in the way sometimes. Is there anything that I can do to facilitate, or?
Well, we would need to know who within the church we would talk to about acquiring such a property. It seemed fairly sound, given that it hasn't really been maintained for quite a long time. like I said, it does need some work. And I don't know if we would have to, we, the church, would have to buy it, or if we could just take it over, or what. But all of those things, like, I certainly can't speak for the church, and I know you have superiors as well that would need to be.
Well, we have
talked to.
as you know, and as you know, your character would know. We have what our high cleric has a position of some regard on the Emperor's council. This is the person that I think could be in our corner if this is something we wish to actually pursue, but I would be hesitant to bring them into it unless it seemed likely that such a thing was going to be able to move forward. Is this...
I wouldn't want to go straight to the top. I would want to, talk to more people in the middle and see if there was any interest in the church. I assume there would be, but if there isn't, then...
I believe that there definitely would be interest. It's just a question of, is there another claimant? Is that the issue?
So that... Legally speaking, we signed a contract with Lord Relenth, and because it's real estate and a very large, well-known piece of real estate that has been protected for many years, even though we now own it, that includes Lord Relenth. He is no longer head of his house, and he is not allowed to own any real estate other than...
I'm going to stop you right there. I think this is something that I'm going to recommend. We have some people in the church who study these things, but that's not me.
Yeah.
But I can have them do a little bit of looking into the legalities of these sorts of property things. But we could certainly arrange to put together a proposal for what we might do with the property if such a thing would help to persuade anyone who needs persuasion in these matters.
Yep, and we might also speak with Lord Relenth about maybe sending some workmen over there to help start, I don't know, just keeping other people out now that the hopefully most of the dark magic is gone. But we would definitely need to also have some people there who were able to handle themselves around any kind of dark magic, if anything is still there.
Yeah, I think we can, if with Lord Relenth's permission, we can send a team just to survey, see what would be needed from any sort of cleansing perspective, both spiritual and physical.
Oh, there's a lot of dried blood.
Ooh, goodness.
Yeah. It was, what happened there was really awful.
Well, so I can certainly pursue that, and we can arrange some of those things. But before we forget, where is our patient?
He would be in the workshop level. Why don't we head on down there?
Okay. All right. So heading on down to the workshop level.
Yep. Knock on the door.
Nedry met Father Wilfram when you all went to do the Speak with Dead spell, so...
Yes. Nedry, a moment of your time, please.
Yes.
I just have to finish writing this note.
Well, as it happens, Mr. Shiny Rock, I don't actually need your participation in this spell, although I would ask your permission.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not going to hurt, is it?
Oh, no. In fact, if anything, I would imagine that it will feel somewhat of a relief.
Does feeling old feel worse then? I was kind of wondering about that.
Not
You're really old.
always.
Do you feel worse?
I have to say that there were certainly times when I was young that I would not wish to go back to. But the aging that you have experienced is not natural aging. It is a weight, a burden placed on your body by the trauma of your supernatural experience, and it's can be lived with, but if removed, if restored before it sets in and becomes a permanent part of you, this is something that will lead to a longer, healthier life for you in the long run.
Okay, but when this changes me back, I'm not going to forget anything, am I?
Oh, no.
One of the things that Master always says is with age comes wisdom. I haven't really felt much different, but I thought it might just take time.
You won't forget anything. This is a divine spell. It is helpful only. The spirit of Rushama works through me in order to relieve you of this burden that has been unnaturally placed on you.
Oh. Okay. Sarashana, can you take notes? I won't be able to observe the changes myself. I can sort of feel some of them, but I'm not really sure what the changes really look like from the outside.
So I think Sarashana puts down her mask and gets out a notebook.
Okay, Father. Do you cast spells?
Yeah. Is anyone else present for this? Who else is hanging out?
Carolina is kind of hanging out in the doorway, just watching.
Okay. What
Sequential would have been in the workshop.
Okay. Yeah.
He'd look over then and kind of catch Sequential or Carolina's eyes, both of them actually, at one point or the other.
Just as long as you can swear that I'm actually older than my brother, at least for a little while.
Absolutely.
Are Zaylene and Trina there, or are you taking a nap or something?
I'm actually going to be upstairs talking to the house spirit. So
Okay. Yeah.
Trina will be nearby. She's not going to leave Zaylene
Okay.
until she feels more comfortable.
All right. Well, we'll come back to that conversation between Zaylene and Sunya. As Father Wolfram is preparing to cast his spell, he lays out some ritual items that are he kind of points out because I know that you are the practitioner in the arcane variety of spells. You seem interested, and he looks over to Sorashana, and it's just strictly speaking, the candles and so on that I'm sending out here are not actually required for this spell. It does, however, require somewhat of a material investment, and he pulls out a little pouch and he says, we got 100 gold worth of diamond dust here, which is a requirement for the spell. It'll be consumed.
Oh, I can't afford that.
No. This is a favor for Zinhorn. This is
Oh.
I'm not asking anything of you right now. I'm just explaining the spell, the nature of the spell.
It's going to take me a long time to pay you back, Zinhorn, but I'll remember.
That's okay. We'll figure it out.
So he begins. He pours out the dust into kind of a small chalice, and then he begins to pray, and then he reaches out and touches your forehead, and I think, Nedry, what you feel is first it's just very warm and comforting. And very solid. You vaguely have the impression, in a very secure way, that Father Wilfram, for a moment, seems as unmovable and unshakable as Mount Rashama itself, and he is there to protect you. But then you also just feel like lighter. It's just like, oh, yeah, your clothes feel a little better. You just feel just ever so slightly more alert, and then everyone else can see that the small signs of aging that you had undergone have gone away. And you all look down, and the little chalice is now empty, and he goes, well, there now. You remember everything?
Who are you again? I'm just kidding. I remember. That was different than I expected. I didn't expect to kind of, I don't know, feel a mountain.
Well, perhaps you should consider attending a service for Rishama at some point if you are interested in that feeling. Or I'm sure that Zinhorn could help you learn a bit more about that if you should be so interested.
Are there books?
Yes.
Yes.
Although,
Oh, yes.
I think he looks at like Zinhorn a little bit, kind of like, if the book part is what you're interested in, Zinhorn's focus has been elsewhere in my experience. But that's not a criticism. Everyone has their own specialties. Zinhorn, for example, swings a mean mace.
Definitely does that. And those things that we were fighting, we probably wouldn't have been able to defeat them without him there. The magic that he was using, I've never really been able to figure out what kind of power that is. But it definitely hurt them a lot more than anything I could do. This thing that did this to me, that we were facing, is that likely to happen again? Is that the sort of thing that we'll be likely to see again?
Well, my understanding, bear in mind, I don't have experience with everything that the planes have to offer. But the aging that ghosts produce seems to be relatively uncommon, but there's all sorts of other curses and I probably in world wouldn't use the word debuff, but afflictions that can be bestowed on individuals by unholy creatures, and a little divine magic can come in handy.
I'll have to find the equivalent. I don't think Rishama is going to be expecting me anytime soon. But maybe with a little bit of research, I can find ways to bridge the difference between my magic and the sort of spirit magic that you use.
Well, and I would also say that you don't have to become a divine practitioner to have a respect for the spiritual in your heart and in your head.
That's fair. Thank you.
Sorashana is like over in the corner just furiously writing notes.
I'm so proud right now.
All right, so if you're feeling better, did anyone else get touched, or I'm sure you can handle all the bumps and bruises?
Yep. All the bumps and bruises have pretty much been handled. We'll have a very long sleep tonight, and anyone who isn't right as rain tomorrow, I can help put them right.
Great. I think probably before I leave, we can briefly discuss with Lord Relenth what we were just talking about. It's in Horn, and it was great to see all of you again. Sequential, yes. Carolina?
Before you go, you can handle any of your business. This isn't immediate, but I was wondering if maybe I could speak to you privately for a moment when you've handled all of your business.
Well, I mean, of course, I'm in no hurry with any of that. We could speak now. Is there somewhere that would be Wherever you like.
Um,
You could probably go to that little sort of sitting
yeah,
room where,
that's
like, the sending
yeah,
stone is,
the
yeah.
study type of
Mhm.
room. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, if you would come with me.
All right. Yeah. So he does, and he kind of just turns back to Zinhorn and says, just gesture of like, you get it, doing the thing.
Yeah, you ask for privacy, you get it.
Yep. Yeah. So he follows you in there and kind of closes the door and says, "So, how can I help you?"
1 minute. Sunya,
Yes.
is there a way for you to sort of turn off your ears for a minute, or
That's complicated, but I can not listen. I promise if I hear anything, I here this is hard to explain. I if I promise you, I will keep my promise. And I won't try to listen, but if I hear, I won't tell anyone else.
well, if you can promise, then I will promise to maybe explain later.
I promise to give you the opportunity to explain anything that I feel might present a danger to anyone else.
I can deal with that.
Very well.
So, what was his name? Wilfram? Is that
Yeah.
right, Father Wilfram? So, this is kind of complicated. Do you have anything that's sort of, like if I tell you something in confidence that you would keep it?
Well, of course. I mean, it's not like I don't have like a special card in my wallet that says that, but
No, nothing like that. It's just,
anything you say to me, I will keep confidential.
all right. Because I have this thing, and I don't really tell people until I'm absolutely sure that I can trust them, and I'm pretty sure that I can trust you. So, that thing you did for Nadri, I know it doesn't look like it, but would it be possible for you to do that for me as well?
Yes, as it happens, I did bring enough for second casting just in case. Was it the same sort of effect?
Yes, pretty much exactly the same. Maybe a little bit worse, if I want to be completely honest, but I didn't want my friends to worry.
Well, I can certainly perform the spell. Is there... My hesitation is not that I won't do it, because I certainly will. And it's not that I will break confidentiality, because I won't. But I just cast it on your friend Nedry. But you want to keep it secret that I'm casting it on you because you don't want them to worry.
Well, it's sort of complicated. So, when I tell people certain things about me, well, I don't really generally tell them because, I mean, I know the stories and everyone has an opinion on it, and it's generally not a good opinion. So, while I definitely didn't want them to be worried about me, I also am not entirely certain yet that I can tell them this without risking a bit of blowback or a lot of questions I don't know how to answer.
Well, I like to think that I have a pretty good judge of character. And another thing that suggests to me that this is not something that would be a problem for me is the fact that you've come to me to ask this. If you thought it was something that, well, I guess here's the question. I will cast the spell on you, whether you tell me or not. But if you want to tell me, I'll listen.
Well, the thing is, I sort of... okay. Because you are being nice, and I want you to feel like you can trust me, because you can, because I'm not a bad person, and I don't like keeping secrets, but it's partially a matter of keeping myself safe. But the thing is that I can sort of do this. And what happens is that the person that Father Wolfram sees fades away and becomes someone else entirely. And Christiana, I believe you have artwork of this.
I do. I didn't have it ready to show, but I can pull it up here. Oh no, hang on. So it will take me a moment to put it on screen.
I could drop it in the chat if you would.
No, I can get it. It'll take me a second. So, do you want to describe it while I?
Yes. So, the red color of her hair fades away to its varying shades of. I have a whole description.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll pull it up. But anyone who's listening in audio won't see it either.
Okay. So here's the description. What you see is someone who is still average height, thin, angular features, and very little in the way of curves, so they could easily pass as a effeminate male or like someone who is like elven or something of similar race. Her skin is very pale but inconsistent, and its appearance almost seems to shift in pale tones, like cream and milk kind of swirling together. Her eyes are a bit unsettling to some in that they are a consistent pale gray in pupil, iris, and whites, which people may not be able to distinguish the difference in them without looking very, very closely. Her hair suffers from the same shifting color as her skin, never seeming to settle on a particular white, gray, or pale tan, and can look entirely different depending on the angle, lighting, and motion. It's long and straight, but is clearly very well brushed. So that is what you see.
So make an insight check, because Father Wolfram is doing his best to kind of like, well,
that didn't go well.
No?
She doesn't know.
Okay.
She has no idea.
Okay.
She looks very nervous.
I would say then that from her perspective, Father Wolfram does not react at all. Like there's no shock. No widened eyes or anything when you do that, and he just kind of says, Well, I will say I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Nobody really has, at least not that I've been able to, not that I've come across anyway. I mean, sort of, in this really bad place that we just left, there was one person, but he was really not nice, and that's not who I am. And I know people feel certain ways about people that can change the way they look, but for me, it's like changing my clothes. It's and I don't want to do bad things with it. It's just part of me. And it
So,
makes people uncomfortable.
Carolina, I think I can understand that your hesitation, where that comes from. I mean, this is, I don't have to tell you that it's unusual. And some of the more prominent stories that people know about people who can change their appearance aren't really, usually the best sort of people. But here's my take on it. You have a sword, yeah?
Yes.
Well, it seems to me that there's bad people who have swords, and they use those swords for bad things. Then there's good people who have swords, and they use those swords for good things. People have people are not good or bad because of what they are. They're good or bad because of what they do.
I feel the same way, but not everyone does.
It's true. I wish I could tell you that everyone out there in the city would think it's ordinary. I mean, it's not ordinary, you know that. But ordinary, being unusual doesn't make it bad. And having something that people don't understand, when people are scared or worried, like it sometimes comes across as anger. Like, so I can understand why you'd have the impulse to want to keep it to yourself. And, especially, there's a lot going around these days. People don't, like, with Rashama, we're not as big as, like, the Solomonia followers in feeling that secrets are just inherently wrong. Because sometimes you need them. Sometimes they protect you. But you can't keep a secret from everybody. You gotta find people who you can talk to. And I'm glad you felt like you could talk to me. And I don't know all of your friends in this group you got here. But I know Zinhorn pretty well. I've known him a long time. I feel pretty confident you could talk to him. And seems to me you got a group here that's all kinds coming together to do some good. I don't get the feeling that these are people who are gonna see something that's unusual and reject it. I feel like they're gonna be delighted to know you better than they do right now.
Well, I'd like to think so. But part of me still hesitates.
I understand.
Since I've come here, I haven't really told anybody about this. So
Well, thank you for telling me. I'm not gonna pretend I know exactly all the answers. You know, it's gonna be true that there might be some people that you tell and it doesn't go well. That's a hard decision. But I think sometimes when you find the people you can tell, it's going to feel good because you'll know that there's someone you can trust, someone you can talk to. I'm sure this is something that you think about a lot, but if you can't talk about it, then you're keeping a part of who you are away.
Yeah.
I think if they're your friends, they'll want to know who you really are.
Yeah, I
And,
think
I
Nedry
don't-
might want to know a little too much.
Well, he does ask a lot of questions, doesn't he? But if anything, that strikes me as another vote for he's not going to mind.
I just need to be sure that it's not something that people are going to take advantage of in the wrong ways.
Well, you know, I have to say there's going to be people out there who would, right? But that's on you. Like, you know, are you someone who uses this ability you have to do bad things? Doesn't seem to me like that's who you want to be. So
Never who I want to be.
that's good. So I think you align yourself with people who also want to do good.
I hope so.
And no one ever knows with perfect certainty what's going to happen. Believe it or not even Rushama.
I feel like he kind of knows everything. And
He knows a
I
lot.
feel like if I went to ask, like maybe he might know more of, people like this.
Well, maybe he does know more. I'm just saying, sometimes got to make the jump. All decisions are made with insufficient information.
Very true. Thank you for your advice.
Thank you for telling me, sharing that with me. Now, if you would like, I will relieve you of any burden that the ghost may have left you with.
Yes, I'm kind of tired of feeling like I'm 60. That's not fun.
Well, I'm a little ways away from that myself, but, I earned it naturally, so I don't mind so much. But, let's, get you back to normal. You're normal. And, he sets out the spell, and, he doesn't actually set out all the stuff in the same way, but he does have another pouch of the diamond dust, and he casts greater restoration on you, and, you are restored from the supernatural aging.
Oh, that feels so much better.
I'm glad.
But she will go ahead and she shifts back into the Carolina that everybody knows.
So, if you feel like you want to talk with me about it again, you know where to find me.
I do. Thank you for everything.
You're welcome. All right. So, heads on back out and just says, so, Zinhorn, we're talking real estate or what?
Let's go talk some real estate.
All right. I think that's actually probably where we're going to leave the session for tonight. I will want to come back to Zeline and Sunia talking, but I've already got a relatively long session for tonight. So, do we have people in the chat who have some in-character questions you want to ask? If so, get them in there real quick because we're going to go to bed.
There was one for Zaline earlier.
Oh yeah.
I'm smart about it.
Disease.
Let's see. Question for Zaylene. Well, let's see. Do you want your memories to return?
I mean, what are memories really?
All right. Well, hey, fair. Asked and answered. Sort of. I guess asked
Kinda.
and tangentially misdirected? Redirected? Question for Carolina. Don't have to answer at all. Do you know anything about where you may actually come from?
As far as she knows, she was born this way.
But that's that's an exciting in-game reveal, even if the other characters don't know yet. But, so all along I've been saying human bard, but anyway.
Not a bard?
Oh, yeah, if it was unclear, like if people
Surprise,
just
she's actually a sorcerer.
didn't know. Yeah, if folks don't know, I am actually a changeling rather than a human. So, yeah. To clear
Where
up
Alaric is
any...
turning over.
And none of y'all know that, so...
No. So is it okay to look at your character sheet now, or?
Yes.
I mean, not that I would peruse it, but I have been known to check hit points and health points and stuff like that. And not yours.
Well, right, that was the the secret, right? So
Yeah.
But so you've got a fan in Facebook there in the chat, so it's exciting. And so, but in any case, thank you everybody for listening and or watching. We love all of you watching us live or watching us on VOD or listening to the podcast. And we will be back for more next week on so many
levels.
Levels.